Hello and welcome back to Vox Terra. This is a second in a series called Trump declares himself law and order president, but not the law and order president of our environment. Now, last time I highlighted a couple of rollbacks happening during the COVID-19 crisis. One was the EPA non-enforcement of environmental regulations, and another was the removal of environmental review for new projects. Today, I want to talk about just the general history and a specific history regarding the chemical industry. From the Environmental Defense Fund, new report, Toxic Consequences, Trump's Attack on Chemical Safety Put Our Health at Risk by Sam Lovell, published June 17th, 2019. Now, it's from 2019, but it's an overview article. EDF, or Environmental Defense Fund, released a report detailing the major threats to public health and future generations from the Trump Environmental Protection Agency attacks on the 2016 Chemical Safety Law. So here we see these different layers of bureaucracy. There is the appointed by the politician layer or appointed by the president layer. That's the top layers. And then the civil service layer that is there all the time. Now, sometimes that layer is derided as deep state. Now, sometimes I would agree with that criticism when it comes to foreign policy, sometimes. But in general, that smear is often used to discredit lifetime civil servants who are actually standing up to the reckless elements of the business community that are being fostered, in my opinion, by the Trump administration. So to really hit home in a way that the media tends not to, I want to highlight one particular Trump administration decision regarding chemical safety. Now, the problem we have as environmentalists, and I hope you consider yourself one, the problem we have as environmentalists is the media never sensationalizes or really humanizes our cause. If the cause is our fellow people, our fellow man, if you will, hurting one another, well, that's humanized. That can be demonized. Politicians love to demonize other groups of people. Some do anyway. But the harms caused by a system are often underreported and under-sensationalized. So look at this one from Human Rights Watch, July 22nd, again going back to 2019. Trump administration refuses to ban neurotoxic pesticide. So neurotoxins attack the very nervous system of living creatures. The Environmental Protection Agency decided not to ban chlorpyrifos, a neurotoxic pesticide that, according to studies funded by the agency, studies funded by the agency, I mean, now we're getting back to that, these different layers of bureaucracy, has been linked to developmental delay in children. That's one. That's real. That's tangible. Another, the decision is just the latest example of the Trump administration obstructing environmental health regulations of toxic materials. Now, just to give a little background on pesticides and neurotoxic pesticides in particular, from PubMed.gov, National Institute of Health, neurotoxic pesticides and neurological effects. Pesticides represent one of the largest classes of toxic chemicals. So when we want organic farming, it's not just for health, the health of the food supposedly healthier, it's to detoxify our economy. Besides being toxic to pests they are intended to control, they are also toxic to non-target species, including humans. Some people say humans. I say humans. A little less educated, I don't know. Extension, now another one. The Extension Toxicology, from the Extension Toxicology Network, a collaborative of different universities. Chlorpyrifos, the pesticide in particular for this show, is one of a class of insecticides referred to as organophosphates. These chemicals act by interfering with activities of the cholinesterase, an enzyme that is essential for the proper working of the nervous system of both humans and insects. From EcoWatch, it is adapted from a World War II nerve gas. The chemical sticks around on our food and makes its way into our drinking water and air, exposing farm workers and those living in agricultural areas. Back to Human Rights Watch. Chlorpyrifos have been linked to neurological development challenges, such as learning disabilities, developmental delay, ADHD, dizziness, confusion, respiratory paralysis, and childhood cancer. Well, that's a real heavy one, isn't it? Linked to childhood cancer. So a lot of people like to donate to find cures for cancer, but a lot of these cancers are being driven by all of the toxins we are introducing into our environment. And remember, a lot of these toxins are from petrochemicals derived from the fossil fuels. So combating climate change could potentially also lower our overall exposure to these toxins. So back to the Trump administration deciding not to ban use of that chemical, that pesticide. Back to the Human Rights Watch. The decision follows several attempts by the administration to quash a 2015 EPA proposal to ban chlorpyrifos. So back under Obama, the EPA was planning on banning the chemical. Now that's not especially strong either. Remember, environmental groups historically have had more influence in the Democratic Party, but the party has not always exactly championed us. These efforts began just weeks after President Donald Trump's inauguration, to which the manufacturer of the pesticide Corteva, formerly Dupont, contributed $1 million. So Corteva donated $1 million to the Trump inauguration. And then the Trump administration wants to greenlight that pesticide. Now, that's another thing the media really doesn't focus on, is the campaign contributions and the money propping up Donald Trump, or politicians in general, we could argue. If they did, I believe that would help take us away from some of this culture war and help us focus on what's real. And introducing toxic pesticides into our environment is real. It objectively damages our nervous system, increases cancer rates. The article from Human Rights Watch. In recognizing the serious public health threats, U.S. states have taken matters into their own hands. Hawaii, California have passed laws to ban the pesticide. New York, Oregon, Maryland, and Connecticut have similar initiatives underway. Now those states, at least in the case of Hawaii and California and New York, I know to be democratically controlled. Now I've seen friends post on Facebook, "Take back California," and they're coming from a Trumpian Republican angle. But I asked you to ask yourself, if that's your thing, to what degree is this really just a front for what I'm calling the reckless elements of the business community? Because if you take back California, then what? These pesticides are allowed on the market? The good news later from EcoWatch of February 2020 is that Corteva decided to stop manufacturing the product, probably because of all of the lawsuits from environmental organizations, the fact that many states were banning it. It simply wasn't viable any longer. Now that doesn't mean toxic pesticides aren't still allowed and being used, but that particular one had a bit of a silver lining. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please subscribe if you have not already done so. Please share my videos. Please comment, mannerly comments preferred. Like, and please consider becoming a patron at Patreon of this channel to help make this a sustainable effort. And until next time, peace be with you.